just explaining you the term new operator is instantiate a class by allocating memory for the new object of data type. The new requires a single argument, a call to constructor. This is where the new has been used. The new always requires some constructor, right? So if you want to have a different way to initialize, so many times you have to use a new operator and with different arguments with the class name, with the constructor. The constructor methods are again, once again, constructor methods are special methods provided by each Java class. C++ also provides you that are responsible for initializing the new classes now. So you must use a constructor in your program. By default, again, you have a constructor, but we have no argument. If you want to initialize them, you have to use the constructor with different arguments. Right? In this case, there is no argument, but memory is allocated for it, but it will not contain any value. But if I want to do something, I want to initialize a certain value, I have to put all the arguments in the date with the date method or with this constructor. For example, just in this case, this is below what I have written. I have allocated one object called his birthday and allocated with this value 9071 630. So in this program, I have two constructor, one with no argument, another with some argument, but to allocate in memory, always you have to use a new operator. So this way, I can allocate an object, instantiate an object, initialize an object, create an object, and so on. Now, Java, the important thing about Java is, which you don't have in other programming languages, that you have a feature called garbage collector. Garbage collector is a program which keeps on running behind the scene. So you have created number of objects, and those objects are not being used by your program, then those objects will be deleted from your main memory. So that will be done by the Java itself. So that will keep on running. Java keeps on running this collector, this garbage collector program through operating system or through browser every few milliseconds. So they will keep on cleaning. As a programmer in Java, you should not need to you don't need to keep tracking of the objects you declared and deallocate the memory. But in C language, you remember that if you are writing a program in C, you have to use a malloc for allocating a memory dynamically, and then you have to dispose this memory. So in Java, a programmer has to concentrate fully on the logic of program, not on the memory administrations. Java keeps taking care of, and that is done by the garbage collector. So garbage collector always runs in low priority. Your programs works always in the high priority. So no way you will know that your garbage collector is trying to interfere with your main program, because that is given with the low priority. Behind the scene or in the background process, they keep on running like this. So that is another important point one has to understand in object-oriented program, because everything is allocated dynamically, so system takes care of releasing them if it is not accessed to by the program for the time being. Now this is what we have already explained, that if you don't have, if object is of the garbage collector always runs in a low priority, you don't need to access them. I don't need to it always works basically given the no way try to interfere with your main program. Now the important thing, how do you declare a class? Once again, now the generic definition or the generic syntax for declaring a class in Java looks like this. This is a very important thing you have to understand. What is written into this bracket means optional. It's not necessary you have to use them. It says that when you declare a class, you must use the class, because your program will have a number of classes. It must have a class construct that is defined by Java. Prior to class, you have some certain modifiers. This modifier defines how your class is going to be accessed them, who is going to access them. So depending on the modifier, you give certain control to the programmer who is going to use your class in the program. Then you write the class name. The class name is your name. You have to define how you want to write, what name you want to give, just like a variable name. And then when we write, but it's not a compulsory, it's optional part. You can write or you don't need to write. But if class is inheriting certain characteristic from some base class, then you have to write extend. So extend is basically a feature for inheriting certain characteristic from the super class. So we write extends. super class name. But you don't write extend twice because Java supports only single inheritance. C++ supports multiple inheritance, but you can simulate multiple inheritance in different way in Java, but not directly. So one should write only extends. Then implements interface name. Now Java, I told you that Java can support multiple inheritance. Is much more cleaner than the multiple inheritance features C++ supports them. For that you have to write implements interface name, where from you are trying to implement them. By multiple inheritance in Java means that you are not inheriting anything, you are simply inheriting the name of the method and then you are trying to implement them. So now the meaning of this statement says that one class can extend one superclass, but implements multiple interfaces. You can have a multiple interfaces, but you can extend only one superclass now. And then you write the number methods and other variables here. So this is the generic definitions. You have to understand how the object and class are declared in Java. The modifiers, the different type of modifiers we have in Java. One is called public, second is abstract, and final. So with class you have to use whether the class is public. So three features you can use with this one, either use the public, abstract, or final. The extend is used to specify a single inheritance. Implement is used to specify multiple inheritance. There are many other modifiers, but with the class name you have to use either public or abstract or final depending upon your need. Right? So here is again the word extend says that you have to use the for inheritance purpose. So in this case I am just writing like once again I can write this with the class name of the class extends super class name. This way I am trying to inherit certain characteristic from some other class. So what is happening is that my name of the class is my class name, which inherits certain characteristic from the super class name which is defined by somebody else, and you try to use inheritance as much as possible in your program. The public modifier, that is important thing. Public modifier, if once you have declared a class to be a public, it means that anybody can use them. It is public, is open to everybody, from single package, from the same package, from outside a package. So anybody from a different package can also access your class. So once it is declared to be a public now. The abstract is a more important thing. Abstract modifiers declares that the abstract class may contain some methods without any implementations, and that is a very powerful concept. These classes are intended to be subclassed and cannot be instantiated. It means that when we say class, it means that all the method has to be implemented. But if my class is abstract class, then at least some methods are there which is not implemented by there. For example, I am designing, let's say I am designing circle object, I am designing ellipse object, I am designing many other classes. Now they all have a draw method. Now all these objects are inheriting certain characteristics from the base class because they all are graphic objects. But the draw method, which has been declared as abstract method, means this method is not implemented. So in what case I have to use the abstract method? In case where you think that the design is unique from one object to or one class to another class. So when we say abstract class, means it has some methods which have not been implemented, then some of its subclasses which have inherited this class will implement it. This is what we are trying to explain to you. Just say once again, these classes are intended to be subclass. You can have a subclass, you can inherit certain characteristics from this class, but cannot be instantiated. You can't have, for example, I have written date today. Now what does it mean? That I have instantiated today for the date class now. So today becomes instantiation of a date class, or today is an object. When we say abstract class, you cannot have object of abstract class. Why? Because certain methods of this class is not implemented. Unless all the methods are not implemented, you can't have an instance of this class. That's something that has to be observed. And most of the classes in Java, if you see the architecture of whole Java programming language, then most of the classes on the top are abstract classes, and all the lower classes are trying to implement some of its methods according to the requirement. So most of the time you have to use this type of class if you want to have a generic class. So most of the people who are designing abstract class are the basically who is controlling the team. So the design team who is heading this team, they always define something into terms of abstract class, and all other member of the group or the programmer basically implement them according to the specifications. Then there is a final now. So abstract is the one modifier. The final modifier declares that this class cannot be subclassed for security regions and designer region. This type of features you don't have in C and C++, C programming language. But in Java, yes, because Java has been designed for not writing a small program. They are designed for writing a program for the teamwork. So always assumes that you are working with a very large project where many people are involved. So certain things you can't want to share among all the people. They have to be kept secret. So in that case, you have to use a final. When we say abstract as a modifier, then anybody can subclass it. Anybody can declare, and what we call them, anybody can subclass it. But when you declare the final, then nobody can inherit any characteristics. Once you inherit, then you can also modify them. But once it is final, is a final, just like a constant. Whatever method is defined, whatever variables are defined as a final class, you can't change them. So right? So it means that it does not make any sense. You don't declare two modifiers. For example, you can't have a class which will have a final as well as what we call them abstract, because it will not make any sense at all. You can't declare instance of it. Now the term is package now. Java, when you want to learn Java programming language, you have to learn many other things. Java, you have to learn many packages. And the important packages in Java is called java.awt, java.sql, java.io, java.net, java.io, and what we call them java.lang. So all these important packages one has to learn. What exactly this package contains? This package contains number of classes. Some classes might be a final modifier type, some classes might be of abstract data type. So you have to learn those classes. You can define your own class and put them in your own package depending upon how you want to manage your program. So package is a basically container of related classes and methods, so or interfaces now. So one can design a package which contain number of methods. So learning Java means learning these packages. Learning these packages means learning all those interfaces and the classes. Because in Java, everything you are not starting from the scratch. Always think what is already available as a part of the package, and you design from the scratch. Then only your program will be much more optimal. Otherwise, it will not be very much optimal form. The package is basically, how can declare my own package? I can write package string.h in C language is a header file which contains lots of functions for handling the string, how to combine two strings, how to find out the length of a string, and so on. Now, in Java, when you start writing a program in Java, you have to import certain package, because you want to use certain facility from this package. Except java.lang, all the package you have to specifically import them. For example, in C language you write has include string.h, has include something.h, and so on. So in Java, except java.lang, which defines all the basic classes for which you require most of the time, then except this one, all the classes have to be imported. Means you have to be included with your program. For example, you have to write import java.awt, import java.io, and so on. So import is basically to include the classes defined into this package with your program, so that they can directly access to it. Now, so basically something I can write like this: import java.awt.graphics. What exactly it means? First I have to write the package name, and then I can write the name of the class which I want to use them. Either you include all the classes in your program. In that case, I will be writing import java.awt then dot asterisk, means all the classes defined into java.awt you have direct access to it. But suppose that for memory regions, if the memory is very small, a small chunk which is at your disposal, then you don't need to import all these classes which you are not working at all. Then simply you can import only one class called java.graphics class. Whenever something I write with the capital, means that this is the name of the predefined class. So these are the access control mechanisms. Who can access what method from which class? So you are able to control only through this one. So private, protected, public, static, final, and struct. These are the what we call them access control mechanisms. Some can be used with the classes, some can be used with the classes as well as method, some can be used only with the classes, some can be used only with the methods. So learning Java object-oriented features of Java means you have to know how to use them, because Java is not confined to only one class. It will contain number of classes, so you must have a proper security mechanism, proper access control mechanism, so that the only authorized person or programmer should use certain features of your program. For example, let's see, I will talk about one or two. Private member, so one is, let's say, the privates. Now private member, I can declare a variable to be a private. So remember, what we are talking about is that your object can have a methods as well as variables now. So I can declare variable to be a private type. I can also declare methods to be a private type. So what exactly it means? It means the private member and the method are accessible only to the class in which is defined. So if I define class A, declare private variable and private method, only within this class boundary I can use them. For example, what exactly it means? Let's see in this case. How do I write a program in Java? I always define a class, then I have defined the class name, say alpha, which contains one variable called private x, which is of integer data type, and declare to be a private access control mechanism. Then we have a method called private method, which does not return anything void, and again to be a private now. And then what this method includes, this method simply have a println statement, just like a printf statements in C programming language. So system.out.println private method. So I have a small program which contains only one class called alpha, which has one method and one variable, and the method simply prints private method on the monitor now. Now what exactly it means? What if I have used private with this one, private with this one, what exactly it means? Let's see what I can do with these variables, how I can access them. Let's say I have defined another class now, class beta. They all belong to the same package, because my package contains number of classes now. Now in this class beta, I have a one method called access method, right, which does not return anything, and this method has a one object of alpha. How I have declared alpha object? First I have written the class name alpha A, and then I have written new alpha. So this way I have allocated a memory for instance of an alpha object, and then I have assigned a variable called, I have assigned a value 15 to private x variable, which belongs to alpha object, and then also I am trying to access the private method. Now what is happening is this: I am trying to access the variables and method of a class alpha, where all these variables and methods are of private type from another class called class beta. If I could have accessed those variables and method within the same class alpha, it was illegal. But if I am accessing something from the outside class, it is not. It's not possible. So what we have said is illegal. So don't use like this. So what exactly the important message which I want to convey like this: the beta class cannot access private variable and private methods on an object of type alpha, because beta is not type of alpha. If I declare an instance of alpha, yes, then I can do it. But I have declared instance of alpha A not within the alpha class of somewhere else, but within the another class called beta class, which is not allowed. So from one class to another class, if the variables and method are of another object which is of private type, you can't access them. So that is something very important to understand. Object of the same type, yes, that is already discussed. Same type, yes, you can access to them. because the protection mechanism only at the class level, not at the object level. Let's say we have a, in this case for example, I have a class alpha private, then in this case I have alpha class, then here is one variable called private x, one method is called is equal to, then I am writing if this dot private x equals another dot alpha private x, it is legal. Now what exactly it means now? Now I am trying to access the certain characteristic of this class within the same class, not outside the class. So this is again valid. So within the same class, yes, not outside the class. Now we have a protected now. Protected, it allows the class itself, some class and all the classes in the same package to access the members. If you are belonging within the same package, yes, you can access it. Now from the another class, from the subclass and so on. For example, just in this case, I have declared a package called Greek. You know what this package is. In this package I have defined class alpha, which has a variable like this, methods, all are protected type. Now what I am trying to do, now let's say I define another class called gamma, which also declared in the member of the Greek package. So I am defining another class within the same package. The class can legally access an alpha object's private x member variables and protected. So it means that within the same package, one class can access if they are declared to be protected, but it is not with the private type. So for example, just in this case, what I have done, I have another package, same package called Greek, which I have defined for the alpha class. Now I have defined the gamma class. Now I have declared alpha object here within the another class, and then trying to access its method and trying to assign certain variables. This is illegal, but this was not valid with the another concept. Public is open to all, anybody can access from anywhere within the same package, outside the package, from different classes within the same package, everything is allowed. It's a much more open, flexible approach now. So you have to decide what you want to include, what you want to keep it secret, whom you want to allow to access to, it all depends upon you. So this is all, again, anybody can access here, everything is open for everybody. I will not go into details of all these things now. So everything is allowed here, and again everything is here legal, everything is open to everybody, defined from different class, defined from the different package, and one can access to it. You just see everything is legal now. Although the beta class is defined into different package called say Roman, and I am trying to access something from a package called Greek, everything is allowed here. So the what method, here is the point which I have explained in different way, that when we say subclasses, you can inherit various, let's say in this case, inherit those superclass method declared as public or protected. So the subclass will inherit only those characteristics from the base class or the superclass which is declared to be public and protected. The subclass inherits those superclass methods declared with no access specifier as language subclass in the same package as the superclass. So already we have discussed that if methods and objects are declared to be a public type or the protected, a subclass can access to it. And another thing, but it is a private type, no, it are not allowed to access to it. Now we have a static now. The static is used only with the method. You don't use static with the class name. You use only with the methods and the variables now. And always use a static word with main method. When you declare main, because in Java, again main method has to be used with certain class name. Without main method, if you are writing in applications, the main method has to be used, and with this main method, a static modifier has to be used. So static always comes with the main method. No subclasses are allowed to implement the method of the same name. So if you have declared something to be a static method, you can't re-implement them. Somehow what we call it is a constant type of things. The static methods are not overridden in the subclass. So these things are, so if you are doing like this, it will be illegal operations. You will get a warning from the operating system or the browser. The final is a final. Something which you have declared to be a final, it can't be changed either in terms of the methods or this one. For example, just in this case, so let me be more specific. If I use with the method, this method cannot be overridden. If you have declared with the variable, this variable cannot be overridden. So for example, so you can't inherit. For example, what I have done here is I have declared one class final with a final modifier and trying to extend it, which is not allowed because you can't change the class final. So it's illegal operations now. Again, in this case, whatever value I decide here, 21 or whatever value, then you can't change the value. This value is always final. So it defines a complete programming interfaces, providing its subclasses with the methods declaration for all its methods necessary to support the interface. So again, depending upon what is your requirement, if you want something to be permanent, fixed, you put them as a final. So basically, I have given the overview of whole Java programming language. I explained you the important features of object-oriented programming in general. Then I explained you that how the object-oriented programming feature is supported in Java programming language. I explained you how to instantiate, declare, create an object. I also explained what is the purpose of the constructors. It is basically used to initialize, and also listed number of the access control mechanism. In this case, private, static, abstract, final, and so on. So whenever you want to use any class, you must use a proper specifier so that the consistency in your program should be maintained. This is all I just wanted to discuss. Thank you very much.